Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And pie.
And oh my
What?
god, Pi, guess what?
What?
We're doing some actual armchair Imagineering based stuff on the So You Want to Be an Imagineer YouTube channel again.
Woo! Yeah.
What a concept, right? What a concept.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're recording this on the very last day of February. Do you have a good Valentine's Day, Pi?
I did. I walked for the entire first half of the day. My girlfriend walked for the entire second half of the day. And we have plans to celebrate next month.
Wonderful.
Well, Valentine's
still
Day.
better than me. Still better than me. Because this year marked my my 15th Valentine's single, but
that's when they give you like the red chip, right?
I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine, Pi. I am totally fucking fine. I've got my Sonic the Hedgehog Valentines and stickers to keep me company. I don't need relationships.
Those are unironically cool as fuck.
I'm just gonna wear these the whole fucking podcast. All right. So, Pi, would you like to lay out what we're doing here tonight? The four projects we're going to be talking about and how they relate to each other.
Right. So, Voyages 4 and 5 for Celestial Dreaming were made to connect to each other. They were both, at least the origin of them, inspired by Waterworld at Universal, where they took a really bad movie, or sometimes mixed, but for the most part, a movie that pretty much failed at the box office and was not well received critically, and expecting it to be a big hit, made a stunt show about it. And while the movie bombed, the stunt show at Universal was fantastic. Everyone loves it. It keeps getting added to new parks. I think it's at every Universal but the one in Florida. And it's huge. They'll build lands around it when they build a Universal. So the challenge of Voyage 4 was to do a Waterworld. Pick a bad movie, or at least a movie that failed in whatever way, and build an attraction off of it. But not just any attraction, one that succeeds where the movie failed. You didn't have to go all out with like adapting like scene by scene, but you had to do something from that movie to inspire something great. And then Voyage 5, the plot twist with that one is that you then had to take your bad attraction, imagine a world where it was very successful, and then adapt that into a movie, like how the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, or a board game, or a video game, or some kind of book series. What medium was up to you? The idea was just you had to adapt that ride you had just made. And that's where we wound up with it. We had one team do a Nostalgia Critic themed To Boldly Flee project, and one team did Home on the Range as a Frontierland e-ticket, and I don't think either team was as excited to do those themes for 2 rounds in a row as I was to write the prompt. It's one of those ones that like you're making a game, you're like, oh, this is so clever, people are gonna love it, and then in practice, like, whoopsie. Sorry, guys.
You know what? I mean, for me personally, like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I was pretty annoyed when I first read the prompt just because I was like, oh, that's wonderful. I'm one of literally like 2 people. I mean, Joker's is fluent in Channel Awesome stuff, but Joker's frankly is being just a total wild card this season, man. Like, he's like, they're literally just like throwing out concepts and then like just kind of like dropping out. Like I don't know what Joker's game is this season.
I believe he's moving countries at the moment. So
that is true. That is true.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there was a lot of excitement around Nostalgia Critic, like from a varied group of people. And then by the time it came to that second round, I think it was just you and Disneyman 1 who are still around and active and familiar with it, wanting to walk with it. And it gave you all a great chance to showcase your skills. Like, I'm sure we'll get more into it, but you both did fantastic with the writing, and you both are some of the best writers on the forum.
Okay, I'm waiting for our special guest to come on board. We've got someone who is almost as knee deep into. Oh,
Yes, I believe it's Rob Walker. He hasn't told me though.
no, it's not Rob Walker. It's not even Rob, aka Monkey, who's also a Channel Awesome fan.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he's saying he's charging my phone. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna talk Home on the Range first then.
All right.
So, Pi, before we get started, I have a very important piece of trivia that I would like to ask you.
Go for it.
It's a very obscure piece of like I'm actually pretty proud of how obscure it is.
Mhm.
So, believe it or not, there was actually a previous Home on the Range attraction at Disneyland. What was that attraction?
I think this is gonna. I hope this is not disappointing, but I think I know. Wasn't the Frontierland like petting zoo area themed
Yep.
Home on the Range for a while?
You got it. You got it. That's not disappointing. I'm glad you got it. Yeah,
I visited Disneyland once as a kid and saw it. Well,
Oh,
I didn't see
man.
it, but they set posters up.
Right, right. So basically, the Big Thunder Ranch was turned into the little patch of heaven, and literally all it was for the most part was like all the regular petting zoo stuff. They probably had like I'm guessing like some Alameda Slim wanted posters up. I know that they built like a farmhouse, and inside the farmhouse, like much like Chippendale's treehouse, like look, it's fucking framed pictures of the characters in the movie. Ooh, immersive. And I
How
believe
could
in
you
the
top that?
I believe in the farmhouse you could also like do like little arts and crafts projects or something like that.
Which I'm sure would be really cute if you're a kid, especially if you are one of Home Alone's single fan. But like, it's cute for what it is.
Mhm.
In Disney World, all we ever got is they had an Alameda Slim wanted poster hung up near the exit ramp, if I remember correctly, of the Frontierland train station. It's like you would be leaving and just be like, "Oh, hey, it's that guy from that movie no one saw."
I mean, that would be accurate, Pi, except I have one fucking big problem with that.
Yeah.
Disneyland does not have a Frontierland station.
Oh, that's right.
It's New Orleans Square in Toontown.
Which feels so weird because, like, yes, I know part of it is that I grew up with Frontierland Station, so it's what makes sense to me. But also, like, when you think of trains, like Wild West, that's the thing.
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe the Alameda Slim poster was near the exit of Big Thunder Mountain. Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
No, I mean, that's all we got in Florida. We got
Oh,
the
my
one wanted
bad.
poster at the exit of the railroad.
Got it. I'm sorry. Yeah, I love those little throwaway Disneyland attractions that nobody knows anything about. Do you remember the NASA space experience?
No.
It's where Buzz Lightyear is now.
There you go.
And it was just as exciting as it sounds.
It sounds great. I don't know who New Horizons music is.
It's Joker's.
Context clues. Yeah, I was gonna say Joker. So if anyone's looking for a refrigerator imported, comment now. To selling off some of this stuff for moving.
All right.
I do kind of want a mini fridge for my room. How big is a refrigerator? This is what the stream's about now. But yeah, so with Home on the Range, that was Team Coco. They turned it into the Echo Mine River Run, which is a really neat combo roller coaster boat ride. So like a much more high-tech version of Atlantis over at SeaWorld that goes through like a ruined mine that's flooding as the cows and Alameda Slim are fighting off, and there's fun songs and music.
I have a question about the brainstorming process here.
Yeah.
Did they ever bring up Night Flight, the new attraction coming to Dollywood?
I I honestly don't remember. I think that did come up, but I'm trying to think if it came up this round or another round.
Mm-hmm. Because that's basically what this project reads as. This project basically reads to me as, hey, this new Dollywood attraction looks cool. Let's give it a Home on the Range reskin.
I don't think it came up, but maybe when they were talking about ride system. But you know what? Steal it from Dolly. No one goes to Dollywood unless they're local.
I'm
No
going
one
to
will notice.
Dollywood.
What
I'm
was
going to
that?
Dollywood for a second time.
You should. I hear it's amazing. I want to go there.
The last time I went, Lightning Rod was technically around, but it was not open because it was like in the middle of its like, we're just going to shut down every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing Lightning Rod for the first time. I'll be doing Big Bear Mountain for the first time. And hopefully, unless something goes really wrong with the construction progress, I will be doing Night Flight. I always want to call it Dream Flight, but it's Night Flight, which I think is actually a better name.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Night Flight is basically it starts out, I believe it starts out as like a Peter Pan's flight style, like flying ride, and then it goes into a coaster section, and then it ends as like a rivet rapper. Jesus Christ. It ends as a river rapids ride. So, very much kind of in that same vein for what this attraction is kind of going for. I will say, I think this attraction absolutely shines with the presentation. I think Outbound Soundscape that he did, holy crap, man, that's incredible. Yeah.
Incredible. One of the best. He's done it like a few times now, and every time he does, it's one of the best like pluses that I've seen added to a project.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't have a ton of notes about the actual ride. I do think that, honestly, I was a little bit confused. Maybe you can clear this up because you saw the brainstorming. I was a little bit confused if this is supposed to be like a book report dark ride or if it's supposed to be like a Frozen Ever After situation where it's like it's kind of telling the same beats as the original movie, but it's technically an original story.
It's definitely more of that second one.
Mm-hmm.
They took the main plot of the movie and just focused it all around like one show sequence. So it's not like book report going scene by scene through the movie. In fact, if I remember correctly from them saying, the mine never flooded in the movie. Those were kind of like different things that happened in different places.
There is a flood. You're right. Yeah.
So there was a flood and there was a mine, but they weren't at the same time. So they just kind of took a bunch of the elements and kind of mashed them up to be one sequence instead of a whole movie. So it's not a book report, but it's not fully an original story either.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhere in the middle of the two, which I thought was a good way to do it. If anything, I feel like one or two scenes could have been condensed even further, because I feel like the way they centered most of it around the flooded mine worked so well, giving its own identity beyond just Home on the Range.
Sure.
It feels like its own ride.
Almost kind of reminds me of the Tangle boat ride in Tokyo, how that's just centered on the lantern sequence. Or the Monsters Inc. door coaster, kind of another example where it's like they're taking like one sequence. And low key, I honestly kind of like that as like a design element for rides. I prefer that approach over book report dark rides. Just like I prefer, this is going to be like a weird comparison point here, but it's kind of like how I prefer with biopics. I very much prefer biopics that it's like we're getting like a little chunk of someone's life, like the most important chunk, as opposed to like, hey, it's cradle to grave, baby. It's Wikipedia article, the movie.
No, I fully agree. And this is what, if I was the player in this round, what I would have done too, is something like this. Or like the Tron Light Cycle. Just choose one sequence, focus in on that, you can add more to it, but focus in on one sequence that works really well, or invent your
Mhm.
own sequence that matches up ones.
For sure. I'll talk more about our creative process when we get into our project. Anything else about the actual ride? I want to crack out this and the second project, and then move on to the Channel Awesome stuff.
Yeah, especially since we have the guests coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Two big things I want to shout out beyond we already talked about Outbound with the presentation. Everyone did a fantastic job with it, obviously, but two of the things that really sold it even beyond the presentation is space, as we talked about a lot of times. Anytime he does place setting and walkthrough, he did the cue, and that I thought established the tone really well. I forget who started it or who did this, if it was T Cool or Outbound, but I really liked using Lucky Jack the rabbit singing as the framing device to kick it off. I thought
I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
exactly. That was just a great way to do it. I haven't seen Home on the Range since it was in theaters, so if that was how the movie also started, then I'm giving you too much credit, perhaps. But worked really well here. I liked it, and it worked well even without knowing it from the movie. And overall, the whole team did great. There was a really fun moment in brainstorming that I think you'll like because you inspired us, kind of. Do you remember the last podcast we did when you were talking about how you were excited about what you were doing and like your team and you didn't want to spoil anything, but you were surprised everyone was like clicking in on this?
what was the actual project that we were doing?
That was when you were working on the Nostalgia Critic one.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
They were not brainstorming or inactive, but there was a lot of maybe this, going back and forth. And someone, I think it was Space, saw the podcast and then went to the team thread and was like, all right, I don't know what they're doing, but they're locked in already. Let's lock in. And all of a sudden the whole team was like, all right, here's what we're doing. Here's how we can come together. Here's the things we're doing. We gotta combat them. So next time, tell the team that you're really not feeling your project. That way they don't try hard. And also,
I mean, I can confirm that that this project I'm not feeling it at all. I mean, this
I guess it's
a dumpster fire. It's an absolute dumpster fire.
There you go. Smart strategic move. Now, both teams, I'm excited to see how it comes together. And
before we get into the little golden book, I'm sorry. Before we get into the little golden book, I just want to state for the record, I am probably one of the most notorious Home on the Range defenders in the Disney fandom. Like, legitimately. Like, here's the thing. I don't love it, right? But I like it, though. I genuinely do like it. Like, I think there is quite a bit to like about that movie. I do think that the dynamic between the three cows, even if Roseanne Barr is definitely the weak link in that voice cast, you got Judi Dench, and I do love kind of like Dame Judi Dench going up against the, in real life, very problematic Roseanne Barr. That's honestly kind of cathartic, like, in retrospect. And Jennifer Tilly's there, and I think her character is maybe a little bit too aggressively stupid, but she provides some fun too. I genuinely do like the cast of characters. I like Cuba Gooding Jr. I think the twist villain, even if it's really obvious, is still well done. I genuinely fucking love Alameda Slim as a villain. Like, I think he's so fun. I love his design. I love his song. I don't think he gets nearly enough credit for being just a very, very comic. I genuinely think he might be one of the best purely comic villains that Disney's ever done. Like, I mean, he's not up there with like the likes of Yzma, right? But he's in that like kind of second tier, man. Like, I really do love him. The animation is, it's obviously not the best looking 2D animated movie they ever did, but I do like that it's kind of like a throwback to the Disney Western, a throwback to the days of like, I don't know, like Paul Bunyan and Pecos Bill and stuff like that. And you can feel that even in like the music. So I think there's a lot to like about Home on the Range, and people just, it's got some rude humor, but honestly, the rude humor is pretty much like literally just when Maggie first arrives on the farm, and it's almost like the Eisner executives are like, we got to get the burp quota in there, and it's like, and they do, and then they move on, and it's not really a big factor in the movie for the rest of the runtime.
Honestly, with reading these projects, I've been thinking about me to give it another shot, and now you're selling me on it. I'll have to give it another shot.
I'd be curious to hear what you think.
If I hate it, I'm gonna blame all of you.
Look at what we've been getting recently from Disney, though. Like Wish, Strange World. Like, you cannot look me in the face and say that Home on the Range is a worse movie than that. All right, you just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't.
I feel like it kind of faces the Cars 2 problem, where it gets a lot more hate than it probably deserves because it came out at a time when Disney was on, maybe not box office wise, but with audiences a hot streak.
Mhm.
And then it wasn't as good, even if it was still good. And like you said, they nailed. I love the visuals of it. Like, that's something I even remember. And like, anytime I see a clip or a scene or a still from it, I do really love the animation. That's why I think it worked so well as a ride here. Is it has a great atmosphere and environment. That's one of the things that sells a ride more than anything.
Totally. All right, really quickly, let's go through the Little Golden Book. I don't really have much commentary on this, just because I think it's very, very much just like they did the thing that they set out to do, and they did it incredibly well. And from a presentation point of view, it's great. From like a text point of view, it reads exactly like how a Little Golden Book would read. I'm genuinely curious because I know like they did like the Little Man of Disneyland Little Golden book, but I don't know if they ever put out like a Pirates of the Caribbean or a Haunted Mansion Little Golden Book or a Tiki Room Little Golden Book. And
they've been doing a lot of them lately. Like, I think there's a Pirates of the Caribbean. I know there's a Figment one. There's an Orange Bird one.
Nice. Of course, there's an Orange Bird one.
Yeah. I believe there's one based on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I want to say there's also a Space Mountain one.
Okay, that's cool.
Them now. But I said in my review the same kind of thing, that it's really tough to review or say things about or compare, because usually an Imagineering project is like a pitch for something. You just kind of gave me the thing, and I'm not prepared to review a children's book other than to say, yay, it's really good.
Right.
I could nitpick things, but why nitpick a children's book? They nailed it. They did exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah. So I don't really have many notes there.
Yeah. I think the only thing I gave as like a slight feedback is that the team had some communication issues with, originally it was going to be like one person kind of writing the whole thing, and then scheduling issues kind of fell through, so they switched the last minute to have more than one writer, and it just kind of wound up being, instead of the really detailed outline they had were going to do, just being, okay, I'm writing this scene, and let's go print it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's less art and things than they had planned. But even with that, if I didn't know that from being behind the scenes, I never would have guessed that from the final product. It turned out fantastic. And looking at, there is Disneyland Little Golden Book just in general for the 70th. There's Figment, there's Frozen Ever After, Haunted Mansion, It's a Small World, Jungle Cruise, Orange Bird, Pirates of the Caribbean, Space Mountain, a Batuu Adventure, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and now Echo's Mine.
Give me the Monsters Unchained Little Golden Book, you cowards. Igor's Adventure. Seriously, an Igor Little Golden Book would low-key be amazing. You can't deny that.
I'm scrapping the next project. The next 3 projects are to write Little Golden Books for things I want to see.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's the rest. That's the next galaxy.
All right. So with that in mind, are you ready to move on to my team's projects?
One last thing before we go there. Joker's Wild did give us an update on the refrigerator. It's bigger than a mini fridge, but smaller than a normal fridge. So I want to make sure we got that out there.
So like a hotel
That's slightly
fridge?
too big. What was that?
So like a hotel room fridge, roughly?
About that, he says goes up to his shoulders. So it's a bit bigger than I can fit in my space, but it's looking for a good home. And together, just call in 1-800 buy Joker's fridge. We can make this happen.
All right. So we've got a special guest joining us because he is also a fan of Channel Awesome, and I was genuinely curious to hear his thoughts on it. You know what? Before we bring him on, though, Pi, I have something to talk about. A very, very recent event that I think was just almost kind of put me on, and I'll show you. Okay, I can send you the link if you really want it, Evan. Pi, would you mind doing the honors? Can you send it to him through the diary room? You've got the link.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. But Pi, so I think it's really, really odd and fitting that like in this whole time we're thinking like we're doing this project based on like the hypothetical end of Channel Awesome / the Nostalgia Critic, which in our hypothetical would have gone on for 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens literally within the same week?
What happened?
Smiling Friends.
Right.
Yeah. So within
weird.
the same week, Smiling Friends announced that they're basically going out on a high note. They're ending on season 3. It's just weird how that worked out.
Yeah.
And of course, Smiling Friends also very much, dare I say, inspired by Doug Walker to a certain extent.
It even had him on an episode.
They did. Okay. So let's get Eli in here, and I guess we're going to get Jokers in here as well.
Yeah, the link is sent.
Oh, man. All right. At the stage. All right. Eli, are you there?
I'm here.
All right.
Hello, I'm Eli. I remember it, so you don't have to. No. Just yeah.
Okay, so Eli, let me lay out like our thought process going into these two projects. So, oh boy, Jokers is also here.
Actually, you guys were talking about Home on the Range. Tiki,
Yeah.
you had already seen this. Pi, you have not.
No.
Lucky Jack plush. I got this a couple years ago. When you talked about Home on the Range, I just knew I had to show it off. So. This happens all the time.
If you had told me a week and a half ago, hey, do you know who Lucky Jack is? I would have said no.
And by the way, because if I can quickly say it too, because I too, like Tiki, I'm a huge defender of Home on the Range. Home on the Range was one of those Disney animated films that actually kind of like, it was one of those Disney films like that became like a daily watch for me. I just love Home on the Range for what it is. I understand it's not the best, but come on, is it that bad compared to what would come next for Disney?
Like people routinely put it in like the top 5 worst Disney movies, and I'm like, it's not that, guys. It's just not that.
No, not even close to that level. So,
and
when was the last time y'all watched fucking Sword in the Stone?
I think since when I did my review on it.
That was a rhetorical question, Eli, but thank you.
It's true. So
look, Sword in the Stone is great if you only watch like 3 scenes from it.
And Sword in the Stone, I believe, was literally like my last place when I did the ranking. When it was 60, I did the ranking right after Encanto came out. I think I would probably have either Wish or Strange World or both of those below it.
See, Strange World, I feel like there's enough creative things happening that I can't put it as the worst.
Not Wish, though. Not Wish.
Music's bad, and that's what kills a Disney movie. Like,
we need to get Joker on. He's patient. They're patiently waiting. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, boys. Hi. Hello. I'm selling a genuine 123 tall centimeter refrigerator. Genuine Japanese build. It's built by Hitachi. Ignore the magnets. It does not come with the magnets. This has a full.
That's gonna knock the price down a bit.
I'm willing to negotiate. It has a bucket freezer. I have a microwave as well. I have so much furniture. Please take my furniture. I can put it in a box. I can put it on a boat. I can do anything you want. You just have to pay the tariff. That's all I ask. Sorry, I'm right in the light. Please buy my furniture. This is a genuine request. I'm begging all of our viewers. I have a house full of furniture, and I can't put it on a plane with me. So thank you for listening. I humbly ask the sharks to please invest in my furniture. Thank you.
But what about magnets? How do those work?
What about magnets? You can have the magnets if you. They work. They stick. You see? Huh?
Oh, so the glue.
That was an icy. That was an insane clown posse reference.
No, I know. Yeah, it's like science glue. Yeah.
Science glue.
Yeah,
That's actually really. That is very accurate.
That's the end of the song. They figured it out. They're gonna write a sequel now.
So I studied mechanical engineering, but my minor was in physics, and I took like a whole class on magnets, and I can confirm that science glue is about the limit of my understanding still.
Well, I'm glad that I didn't have to take a physics class for that. But thank you all. I'll be watching from the audience. But like, think about my furniture. I have so much furniture, and if anyone wants any of my wares, please look me up on www.crazyjokershouseoffurniture.com. I'm selling them for a steal because most of them were stolen. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Wow. Okay.
Anyone who buys Joker's fridge gets a golden pizza moon. Just throwing that out there. Immunity for the next round if you buy his fridge.
I think Joker's just gave us basically what is the equivalent to this podcast's Channel Awesome sketch of the evening.
Yeah.
All right. So Eli, let me lay out exactly like how this came about. So essentially, with the first project, which was the simulator, our idea was essentially like, okay, like what if right before the Not So Awesome document came out, like basically, let's say like the summer before that came out, Channel Awesome partnered with Six Flags Great America specifically, which is the Chicago-based Six Flags park, appropriately, and did a motion simulator based on To Boldly Flee.
Wow.
And that is what we came up with. And then in our as you read in our little meta timeline, it was like the ride came out, it kind of flopped because even people in the Chicagoland area were like, who the fuck is the Nostalgia Critic? This is way too niche for like a mainstream theme park. And then it shut its doors in shame once the Not So Awesome document came out.
Yeah.
So Eli, I gotta ask, what did you think of the idea of turning To Boldly Flee into like a Star Tours style simulator?
I think that concept is pretty interesting. And first off, because like not just Star Tours, because it can also incorporate a lot of other interesting things where, you know, when it comes to science fiction stuff in the parks, not just Star Tours, but, you know, because with what they can incorporate and such and take inspiration from, because, like, okay, because I know that Doug Walker is also a Back to the Future fanatic, even as a Star Trek fan. So with like what Back to the Future and Star Trek has been like in some parks, like, you know, Universal has had a sample of Star Trek, and of course Back to the Future with the Back to the Future ride. So by taking that,
but then Star Trek also had the Star Trek experience in Vegas more prominently.
Yes, that too. So I mean, even that having a simulator ride. So I think that would be just so interesting with what they can incorporate, and of course there's got to be some humor. Now, you know, when it comes to some humor in Nostalgia Critic stuff, like, okay, you can't go that far. You got kids there on the ride. You got to balance it pretty well.
It's a Six Flags park, though, Eli. Like, they're still technically children, but those parks are basically run by teenagers. Like, you as a grown-ass adult entering a Six Flags park, you are basically entering, like, a Lord of the Flies style, like, fucking teenage, like teenage world, like that is their terrain, okay? You do not belong there. You are just lucky that they let you be there.
Yeah, but I think that because now if by incorporating some stuff like from the movie, of course, you just like you'd have like your own like simulator, like the ride you're in with the simulator stuff. It'd have to be themed to what's in To Boldly Flee, because like keep in mind that in To Boldly Flee they turned Nostalgia Critic's house into a freaking starship. So like doing something like that would be interesting. And you've got the main antagonists going after you, just whatever's going to happen in that attraction. I mean, it should be something original, almost just like what Star Tours was. And
our approach with To Boldly Flee was basically like essentially we were going to use the idea of the plot hole to essentially create like a multiverse kind of situation where there would be some scenes that are directly inspired by To Boldly Flee, but ultimately the ride was going to be like basically like a multiverse of madness, but for the Channel Awesome universe. And so that's pretty much where I laid out all my scenes. I was the one that wrote pretty much all the individual show scenes for it.
Mm-hmm. Now that'd be interesting.
Which is funny because Lizzie asked me to do like 2 or 3. And I was like, all right, I will. And then I ended up literally doing every single one that I suggested.
Yeah. And with it being like heavily inspired by Star Tours, wouldn't this also involve an animatronic by any chance?
No, because it's Six Flags.
Okay. Yeah, Six Flags does not have that budget.
Straight up.
Yeah. At least, of course, they can have the video screens like Star Tours has.
They could probably have the video screen. Sure, that's about as far as they go, probably. And I got to tell you, that was the Six Flags factor. That was one of the hardest parts about this project. Was the whole we literally can't possibly make this too cool because it is Six Flags. And in the immortal words of Jenny Nicholson, a quote that is literally on my signature on WDW Magic, Six Flags is like a rundown gas station with roller coasters out back, and one of the roller coasters has a Superman logo on it. Like, that's the level of quality we are dealing with Six Flags. So it's like, no, they are not going to do animatronics on their ride vehicles. That is just something that we will never see with a Six Flags park. We're lucky that one Six Flags attraction does exist, the Justice League Dark Ride, that does feature a couple animatronics. Like, that in itself is kind of like a small miracle.
Yeah, like the one that I think you're talking about, where I remember they have Cyborg and Joker in there.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I remember seeing those videos at a convention and such where they were unveiled, not just Cyborg but Joker especially. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But if only it could be for all Six Flags, they can have a good budget and animatronics. That would be great. But no.
Well, I mean, the thing that frustrates me with Six Flags is that they've never once tried to do a Looney Tunes Dark Ride.
And to think that, not Six Flags, but the Warner Brothers movie world did that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Germany and in Australia, oh my gosh, just looking fantastic. So, even did Gremlins. They did Gremlins as well. Gremlins Invasion, as it's called.
All right, so Eli, did you read through all the show scenes that I wrote for this To Boldly Flee ride?
Yeah, I did my very best to read all of it. So, and yeah, just very interesting with what all was typed and such, with the concept and ideas. Intriguing.
I'm going to have a lot more to say about the actual movie that we did, but either of you have any particular favorite scenes? Pi, I know one of your criticisms is that some of the scenes that I did were kind of just basically just static, you sit there and watch people talking.
Yeah, it wasn't bad by any means. It's just some of them work better as a ride. My
I
favorite
will
is
argue that Six Flags as a company has literally done stuff where they've taken just straight footage from Pacific Rim and done it like, here's a motion simulator. Ooh. And it's like, what is, do you remember that?
So I've only been to Six Flags once, and I was like 8, so I didn't really do anything. They
Yeah,
had
no, that
Batman Batmobile there, and it was really cool.
that's cool.
Speaking of
that's
I was just going to say, speaking of the Pacific Rim, this reminds me, because as a good example, I know because even Yesterworld talked about this in a video where the same thing happened when there was a Polar Express experience, just taking footage from Polar Express, and that was about it.
It was kind of a trend for a while. It was. Yeah, really?
Yeah, it was fantastic. They looped the same scene like 4 times in a row.
Right.
And it just like stopped and restarted. It didn't like flow or anything.
Oh god. So yeah,
I'm not saying it's unrealistic to have some of the scenes. I'm just saying, like,
if anything, like I said, it's more realistic because Six Flags would just be like, fuck it, let's just put a few scenes where the seats aren't moving, so that way we spend less time having to actually program the motion.
No,
all right, Eli, any particular favorite scenes on your end from the simulator attraction?
Honestly, I don't know, because I'd say, like, they're all pretty interesting. With each one that I did my best to carefully read and such, and just time passing by, and I had to read them as good as I can. But I'd say, I usually sometimes hate picking favorites, but I just think overall, they're all pretty good and top notch with what was in mind for this. So yeah.
But I definitely think that the other team kind of beat us pretty hands down. It's like they definitely had the better attraction, which frankly, I mean, let's just call a spade here, Pi. Like, you literally just saw Jokers. Like, Jokers is absolutely playing the troll this season. Like, that to me almost confirms my suspicions about it. Like, I firmly believe that they planted the to boldly flee thing purely as a joke, knowing that I would go along with it.
Look, it walked really well, though.
It
was really fun. There was a moment in development that I even said this to Orangebird. I think they're doing Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon, except for with Nostalgia Critic. And it didn't turn out being that, but I really thought that's what was happening. The final project, though, turned out really well. Like, it was, I think, a lot closer than you give yourself credit for on it.
Well, the other team definitely had the better presentation. I think their attraction flowed better. I think just as an attraction in its own right, it was a lot better. They actually very thoughtfully fit it into the park. That's one of the things we didn't talk about the Home on the Range project. I really like how they use the backside of Tom Sawyer Island, which if you're going to use the footprint of the rivers of America, that's how you fucking use it without actually getting rid of the rivers of America.
There was a lot of discussion about that too. They almost just stopped for a whole day. Like, hang on. Here's 8 different ways we can incorporate this to 3 different frontier lands.
I'm glad they ultimately decided on Disneyland. I feel like Disneyland is also the kind of park where low key I feel like realistically something like this would go, because keep in mind, this is the same park that does stuff like, we still have our Mr. Toad, we still have our Roger Rabbit, it's like Disneyland, way more than Walt Disney World, is more likely to do some of the more niche stuff.
Mm-hmm. And no, it was a great pick.
So let's move on to this ended up just being a journey for me, guys. The Too Boldly Flee Multiverse of Midness movie. It was a journey. Like, legit, I am not kidding you when I say I was legitimately emotional putting it together. Because here's the thing. Like, I have been following the Nostalgia Critic basically since the very beginning, okay? Like, I think when I discovered the Nostalgia Critic, I think the only reviews that he had up were like the Transformers review, which was basically like the bum review pilot. That was barely even a Nostalgia Critic episode. The Harry Potter Midnight book release thing, which again, that's more of a skit than anything else. And the Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue thing, which that was by and large the first actual Nostalgia Critic episode. Like, he was still on YouTube, the site didn't even exist yet. And then, you know, I remember like all those original, you know, like we would get like the Super Mario Brothers movie and stuff like that, and the Cloverfield rant, and that whole first year, you know, like the AVGN rivalry, and culminating in the AVGN versus Nostalgia Critic face-off, and then all of that stuff leading up to Kick-Assia. And man, the whole thing still feels like yesterday. Kick-Assia being released, the anticipation for Suburban Nights, the build up to Boldly Flee, the fallout from To Boldly Flee, the, you know, Critic retiring, and then the fucking demo reel mess, and the Pop Quiz Hot Shots mess, and the Critic coming back, but it was basically just demo. I mean, I have seen this, like, it's been a part of my life for so long. And I, like, Eli, I think you watch Doug's content like very like you study it more than I do, because you actually do reaction videos for pretty much all of them, right? Just to plug your channel a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll casually watch them. Like, I'll have them on in the background. I'm not really paying that much attention to them, but I do keep up with them just because it is one of those things where it's just a comfort to me. It's just a comfort, you know? And working on this and working on, like, we were going based on the idea of, okay, what if it's like the 20-year anniversary of the Nostalgia Critic, and Doug is seriously wanting to actually end the character, end the site, go out on his own terms for once. And it was legitimately emotional, like, pitching it all. I think a big ace in the hole that we had was the Spoonie thing, which the Spoonie thing still very much emotionally affects me, because honestly, like, I suffer from a lot of the same mental health issues that Spoonie does. Like, I have pretty severe anxiety, depression, social anxiety. And so, like, I see a lot of myself in what happened to Spoonie. I really do. And so, honestly, that was one of the most powerful things about writing this, was kind of giving Spoonie sort of like the redemption arc that I desperately kind of hope that we see from him someday. That was a big motivator. But I want to ask you guys, like, what do you think of the I'm really proud of the way that I start this project, where I have the you know, just the text that says, you know what they say about the best years of your life, they don't last forever. And then you have the picture of, like, the original Channel Awesome crew. I believe it's from the, not even Kick-Assia, but from the original, like, nerd versus critic battle. And then 20 years later. For me, I think personally, I think that was a very, very emotional, like, really good way to kind of set the stage of, like, this isn't just a joke. Like, there are serious emotional stakes to what is happening here.
Yeah, I think you did a good job establishing that tone right off the bat with that of, yes, this is kind of a silly concept in a lot of ways, but we're taking it seriously because this does mean a lot to people.
Yeah, yeah.
I never really got into the whole, like, extended channel awesome stuff. By the time I found Nostalgia Critic, it was all the post all the movies, and I watched a lot of the older videos, but mostly just Nostalgia Critic ones. Oh, bye. So a lot of what the emotional stakes hung on, I don't have that same nostalgia for. But also, you set the tone right away, and through the writing, I feel it through the writing, even
Mhm,
without
mhm.
feeling it from a previous connection. Like, you talk
Sure.
about Spoonie, I don't think I even know who Spoonie is outside of the project, or like in passing.
Right.
I've watched
Or
probably like
let
hundreds
alone
of
Film
videos over the
Brain. Like,
years.
I am super proud of how I handled Film Brain in this movie. You have no idea who the fuck Film Brain is.
In passing.
What about Chris Stuckman? Do you know who Chris Stuckman is?
Oh, he's the guy who made that really good movie this year, right?
Yes. Oh.
No, there's a lot of them I do know, and a lot of them I've watched like bits and pieces of, just not regularly because I missed out on that earlier time frame. I found him a lot later.
Uh-huh. But generally speaking, though, we took your criticism of the presentation and we absolutely ran with it. You're right. Like, I wanted to make damn sure that we pretty much addressed everything that you were saying about it. So that's why I wanted to make damn sure that we had that opening credit sequence, which is very much like in line with how the actual anniversary movies start. They all start with like dramatic opening credits sequences anyways, so I feel like that kind of just emulates the experience.
Yeah.
And what do you think of just like me laying out like all the character arcs and everything right at the beginning? Like, so basically, because in writing the actual summaries of the movies, like, I knew that it would be impossible to write out like, okay, they go to this dimension and this person does this and this person does this. So, Eli, I'll let you know what in just a sec. So what did you think of just kind of like the little like roundup of like how everyone was going to be interacting with each other throughout the movie? Do you think that was a good call on my end from a writing point of view?
I think that was a smart way to do that, so the actual plot summary doesn't get bogged down or heavy by all the moving pieces. But also, I think what made it work is that you focus in like a very practical sense in how you wrote. Like, this is what the joke is. This is what the story arc is. This is whether they're a big deal of the movie or more of like a side deal that you don't have to pay too much attention to, but they're fun. And I think that went a long way to, okay, I get the cast of characters, and now for the actual write up, you can be focused on the story. It's a little bit, just in the review, so like the Little Golden Book, where it's tough for me to like review or critique too much because I feel like I'm just, here's a really good story told in a bit of a different way, but still less of an Imagineering project, more of a story. But what you set out to do, y'all nailed it.
All right, let's invite Eli back in here. All right, you there, Eli?
Yeah. All right. I think the internet.
All right, so Eli,
I think the internet went out for a few seconds. Couldn't.
Oh, you're good. No problem.
So it is what it is.
So as someone who's way more familiar with the actual history of Channel Awesome, Eli, what did you think of me? Like, first of all, Eli, I'm very curious what you thought of my, because I had a very curated selection of returning people who I realistically thought could return to Channel Awesome, given their, like, all these people, like, they were involved in the Not So Awesome document, but I don't necessarily think it was like scorched earth with them. So like you have people like Angry Joe, Film Brain, Erod, the fucking Distressed Watcher, aka the Amazing Atheist, who might be my favorite inclusion in the whole cast. Because it's like that guy is like a deep cut on top of a deep cut. Like he's a weird, very much a troll internet figure already, and then the fact that he was on Channel Awesome at one point is just very much just like a deep cut, like bar trivia question, if anything else. So what do you think of the cast, Eli? The returning cast.
Oh, I think that the idea of returning cast, and especially of course on account of those that they were once part of Channel Awesome, and especially when cameoing and review clapping, whatever was going on, like a Nostalgia Critic, I think it's pretty good. And You know, despite the whole change of the channel thing, and those that left Channel Awesome and all that, what their taste was working on Channel Awesome, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Just can't bygones be bygones, and can't there be peace made in the end? Just I don't know. But I think just overall, point being with the returning cast, a reunion and such for those that were a part of Channel Awesome is a pretty good idea, and some pretty good choices and that you named and such. I'm glad you named them off and such. Recap, but yeah, because let's face it, because some of those names were a big part of Channel Awesome at that time, and it linked with Doug Walker, like Angry Joe, most prominently, the history that they had, and if he would be in consideration, if so, I don't know. Linkara is another biggie that would be a nice addition too, because.
But I think Lewis is a little bit scorched earth.
Yeah, and
I was on the fence with Lewis. I will admit I was on the fence with him. He was probably, out of all the people that I brought back, he was probably the one that I was closest to bringing back. Just because I do know that even after the Not So Awesome document, he literally made the Atop the Fourth Wall movie, which is literally in the same continuity as To Boldly Flee.
Yeah, especially there's another thing comparing to how each Doug and Lewis they interact with their fans. I've seen a video of this, like how Doug interacts with his fans on streaming, and
the history of Power Rangers has no set schedule. It is done when it's done. In case you haven't noticed, I've been a little busy. If you haven't noticed, wake up already. I went to Power Morphicon. I did a very extended outro for I literally memorized pretty much all of that.
It's like, sheesh, take it down, Lewis. Don't shove your pipe down, man. We love you.
It is done when it's done.
Yeah, we love you either way. We enjoy your content. Just don't take it down, just with your temper. But I don't know. I guess it depends on the whole thing with Lewis.
I think Lewis Love Hog is if you look up "sad, strange little man" in the dictionary, it's him.
Yeah. But others, like the others that you talked about, I mean, of course, what you said about Spoonie is pretty good too, and. Yeah, I mean, and because, with Spoonie's history of Channel Awesome and, with his departure of Channel Awesome, yeah, that's another story about that. But, I understand and I get the whole thing because with Spoonie and, I mean, even with me too on the spectrum, I, of course, go through depression whenever it strikes, and it depends on anxiety and all that. But, yeah. And others that I know would be pretty good ones too, and even if because I mean, I hate that I'm not too familiar with every single member that was once a part of Channel Awesome, and some that you considered for your idea, but I mean, I don't know, because a couple of others that you did not name off that I'm thinking of, okay, here's a biggie, Lewis was one, but what about say. Yeah, Lindsay, aka the nostalgia chick.
Lindsay is out of pretty much everybody, Eli. She is probably the least likely person to come back because she wants literally nothing to do. She does not want people to remember that she was a part of Channel Awesome. She literally doesn't have any of her Nostalgia Chick videos uploaded. Any Nostalgia Chick video on YouTube is uploaded through third-party channels, re-uploads. Lindsay is straight up ashamed of, which honestly I think is kind of I honestly low-key think her Nostalgia Chick videos are still really, really good. I remember back in the day when she started doing them, I legitimately thought they were better than the Critic videos at the time.
Yeah.
But no, Lindsay is very I still really like her stuff, but she's still very self-serious, and I hate what happened to her with the whole You know, like, how dare you say that Raya and the Last Dragon is the same thing as Avatar: The Last Airbender, even though it totally is, guys. I'm sorry. Cancel me.
What exactly is the comparison to both those? I don't see it. You know.
Yeah, we don't. I don't want to get into it because I don't want the people that canceled Lindsay to cancel me too. If
I
they
didn't say
somehow
it. I didn't say bring it up. So you know, I didn't exactly say, but yeah. Okay, so
Fearless and Lupa, they are very much scorched earth. I think Lupa is even more so than although the interesting thing with Phaelus and Lupa is though, is that and this is just getting into just like deep cut channel awesome lore. So Pi, I apologize here. We're gonna break out like the channel awesome like allegiance flowchart right now. So Brad Jones, aka the Cinema Snob, right, Eli?
oh,
He was like the singular person who wasn't like a direct part of Doug Walker's like Chicago crew, you know, like the Walter and Tamara, Malcolm, you know, that crew who actually stayed on and is still on the site.
yes.
And Lupa definitely doesn't interact with Doug or any of them, but Lupa will appear in the occasional Brad Jones video, the occasional midnight screening and stuff like that. So I think that's interesting that, you know, that Lupa is still kind of in Brad Jones's orbit a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And you know, especially since it's obvious that there's still a friendship between Brad and Lupa.
Uh-huh.
You know, just because, like, say if like we're friends with someone whom is not friends with someone you're also friends with, that doesn't mean like we have to like be friends anymore, you know, that kind of stuff. So it shouldn't be a problem. So, and it's nice to see, because even though Lupa, obviously Lupa, nothing to do with the Walkers whatsoever, no longer friends with them, and obviously Lupa respects, you know, her friend Jones still being friends with the Walkers, and that should be it, as simple as that. So, and that's great to see, and it's nice to see that. I think I've watched some of Brad's midnight screenings. Like, I've most prominently seen where, like, say it's either Doug or Rob, but maybe I've seen a few where Lupa has appeared in them. So, but not fully. Should probably check out more of those.
So honestly, I think my favorite pull from the extended cast was Distressed Watcher, aka Amazing Atheist, aka TJ Kirk, just because it's so fucking random and obscure, and I love the idea that he's literally just like openly admitting, like, yeah, guys, I know you can't get people. I'm openly here to troll, and if you want me, you're just gonna have to deal with that. Oops.
What's happened?
There we go. Sorry, my bad.
It was just violence for a second.
I honestly think my favorite characterization, and I wish I could have written more about him, other than just like the brief blurb that I have about him, is Chris Stuckman. So, have either of you seen the movie This Is the End?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My depiction of Chris Stuckman is very much inspired by how Michael Cera is depicted in that movie.
No, I see
Like,
that. I see that.
Yeah, like, I love the idea, and I honestly think Chris would be down to clown about this shit. Like, I love the idea of Chris Stuckman just being, like, this super self-serious, like, egotistical asshole who's just, like, who is, like, firmly, like, against the very idea of critics, and he's literally only there to promote Shelby Oaks. Even though at this point, like, Shelby Oaks would be like 3 or 4 years old at that point, but he's still like, but it's my masterpiece, though, guys. It's my masterpiece. The joke being that he has not made a movie since Shelby Oaks, and he's just coasting on it.
God.
Now, I want to say, in case someone like sends this to Chris, I respect the hell out of Chris Stuckman and what he did with Shelby Oaks. Okay, like watching Shelby Oaks in theaters was a fucking surreal experience for me. Like, seeing his name pop up in the credits. And you know what? I think he did a damn good job with what that movie was trying to be. It wasn't trying to be some, like, groundbreaking, like, Ari Aster style, like, art house horror movie. It was basically Stuckman just playing around with the types of movies that had already influenced him. And I think on that level, it was really good. And from a scare point of view, I describe Shelby Oaks as essentially like a genuinely pretty creepy and effective creepypasta.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's a first movie. Most people's first movies aren't that great. But most of people's first movies don't have that high profile because they're not famous in advance. It's like when people talk about Markiplier's acting in Iron Lung just being okay. I'm like, just being okay is a big accomplishment for your first movie.
I was going to mention Iron Lung because, you know, like because like Chris Tuckman, Markiplier, another big YouTuber making his way to feature film stuff, and with Iron Lung, that's amazing. So
yeah,
I was also going to point this out too, because lucky Chris, because you know he got Mike Flanagan attached to Shelby Oaks, so
that's big.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Okay, so in the actual movie, I just want to talk through, let's see, we had Disney Man 1 write the intro with all the demo reel stuff. What do y'all think about that? Just the setup stuff.
I think it turned out great. There's a lot of plates to juggle, a lot of things to keep moving. And I think it was a good reintroduction for people who aren't as familiar, but then also bring it together so at the end of it, the rest of the movie can just be a movie. It doesn't have to just feel like a fan film.
I also give Disney Man a lot of credit because one of the trickiest parts of this project in particular is that, you know, way more than any of the other Channel Awesome movies, this thing is very much based on reality. This thing is very meta, you know? So the fact that the opening act almost kind of has to set up where Doug Walker is as a person, as an artist, but then simultaneously set up where the Nostalgia Critic is as a character. And, you know, I don't know. I think it's genuinely like really well done placemaking for the story.
Yep.
Okay, so then we get into the multiverses, which was all me. I think I had a really good progression there. We started with demo reel, then we go into the algorithm universe. Let's see, demo reel, algorithm, then the Melvin. I was very determined to use Melvin. I was stubbornly determined to use Melvin in both of these projects.
Hey, at least Melvin, brother of the Joker. You just can't resist like singing that. But point being is that hey, Melvin came, like I'm sure as you both know, Melvin came,
yeah, he did. I don't know if Pi knows this, but yeah, he did legitimately come back recently.
He came back in the wasn't it the last one that came out? The commercials? It was the last one?
I think it was the last commercials one. Yeah, I want to say so. Yeah.
Yeah, because out of nowhere, Melvin pops in. It's like, Melvin, brother of the Joker. I'm cool. So, yeah.
So you like the idea of Melvin's show? Like, it took over Channel Awesome, and it's a little bit more humble, but the reaction to it is very warm. He's got this super loving relationship with his mother. He's making money off the hot chocolate brand deal.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. And like, wouldn't like other characters that Doug has played that also be in multiverses? I'm thinking of a couple of others. Like Doug has played Tommy Wiseau, and Doug has also been douchey McNickpick and all that. And of course, Chester A. Bum. So obviously, you got to have those guys come in. So
Chester A. Bum. My idea with Chester A. Bum, and I don't know if you guys if this translated, but my idea with Chester A. Bum and the reason why I put that very brief "you got change" video right at the end of the project is because, by all intents and purposes, that would be the post-credit scene. And I think just ending the entire Channel Awesome legacy with just one last change, you got change. That poetry, fucking poetry, absolute cinema, as the kids would say.
yeah.
So then we have. I'm really proud of the way that we brought back Kevin Baugh and the Malazia / Kick-Assia stuff. I think that is I think it works really well as far as legacy sequel territory goes, you know?
Oh yeah.
Pi, have you watched Kick-Assia? Are you familiar at all with Kevin Baugh and his whole routine in that movie?
I I think I watched like a trailer when I was into the Nostalgia Critic, or like a few clips when I was like really like going through my like heavy phase of just watching a bunch of old stuff. But at the time, there wasn't an easy way for me to watch it without like spending money on it, and I thought, maybe some other time, and then I just never went back to it.
So I hope you get the vibe, because with Kevin Baugh, like what you see in Kick-Assia is basically how the man actually is in real life. Except I assume he doesn't take it as self-seriously in real life. He is just playing it up, but
yeah.
Then we get into the actual like crossover chaos. And I had one goal in mind with writing the crossover chaos stuff, all right? It might be a little bit counterproductive, but my goal with writing the crossover chaos stuff is I legitimately wanted it to feel like all the crazy crossover bullshit was being generated by AI. I think I did a good job of that. Like you got Film Brain just literally yelling symbolism into the air, and then randomly you've got Linkara's conspiracy theory boards, even though Linkara is not even a part of the episode at all. I don't know. I think I did a good job kind of simulating like the kind of chaos that an AI might spit out if you just give it like basically like a make an Avengers Endgame battle sequence using Channel Awesome characters, essentially.
Yeah. No, I see the vision. It worked out nicely.
Yeah.
All right, and then we got the big emotional stuff with Film Brain, Spoonie, and Doug, which is kind of the heart of the movie. Eli, what do you think about that whole arc? Like me taking Film Brain, who in the original trilogy was very much like this joke character, Doug's lackey, kind of the kid of the group. And if you've seen Film Brain recently, the man looks very aged. He's bald. He has a beard. Like he does not look really anything like how he looked, back when he was that bright-eyed kid. And so I thought the idea of him essentially being like, yeah, he's going to come back and do the crossover because he really didn't get personally victimized by any of the Channel Awesome stuff in the same way some of the other people did. But he is going to kind of be like the, like almost like the father figure of that side of the movie, almost the protector of that side of the movie. And I personally think that I wrote that element of it really well. I think it really kind of shines through, like just how protective and passionate he is throughout the movie about that.
Yeah. I think it was pretty well written with what you had in mind and came up with, and that reunion such very well executed, I'd say. And I think what's his face? I probably had known him before, but it's been a while, and not one of those that I watch a lot, like say Nostalgia Critic, but no offense to him and all that, just a good content maker and all that, and that's a nice touch, and just like with him to be in there with this reunion and all that, just well executed.
Yeah. So often when you see these kind of crossovers, they're fighting each other or the antagonists in each other's videos in different ways. So it's nice seeing them actually come together. Like, no, we've all been through this.
Yes.
Support each other.
Exactly.
And I got to tell you, just writing basically everything from when Dr. Insano becomes Spoonie again up until the end was genuinely emotional for me. Just the whole idea of like Insano becoming Spoonie, and like I say in the text, it's like there's no big dramatic, like it's just Spoonie's just kind of tired, almost defeated, and he just gives like a hey. Like there's something so powerful about that, man. I think that's so true to life to how that sort of reunion would actually go down.
Yeah.
And so the plot hole kind of folds in on itself. They end up back in, I want to put it as close to the very original like room where the original Nostalgia Critics were shot as possible. This ending scene, like where Spoonie, I really like the line that I wrote with Film Brain, where it's like, like sometimes sometimes the best stories, sometimes stories are best when the characters actually do come to an end. That's the symbolism. And then Doug just having like a gentle smile to that. I like that a lot. I like that exchange a lot. I like the whole idea of Spoonie just kind of like coming to terms with like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to pursue art again, and it can't be insano. I like the montage. I like the idea of like Angry Joe kind of being mid rant and just being like, you know what, this is a little much. I really like the idea of like Rob, Brad, and Noah starting like an independent production company together, and then the Chicago crew, so people like Tamara, Malcolm, Walter, etc., starting an improv troupe. I think that's pretty true to life. I could see that happening. I really, really am a big fan of the final shot of Brad where he's just like looking at the camera and just giving like the slightest like smile and nod of approval. Like that to me, like as the final shot of the Cinema Snob is just like really like that. And then what do y'all think of me the last scene where it's basically like he sits down, he starts to say like, hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic, and then he just stops himself and he's like, you know what? No. I'm Doug. And then he leaves. And then we zoom in on the glasses, and the hat and the tie are like folded on the chair. Guys, I got emotional writing that. I'm not gonna lie. I genuinely got emotional writing that. I really, really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great ending. I think I mentioned in the review, but it reminds me a lot of my, like how you got into Nostalgia Critic from like day one. That was me with Game Theory back when it was still math videos, and those were like videos on the channel. It reminds me a lot of how they handled like Matt Pat's goodbye. Like, okay,
yeah,
I've been playing this character for so long, and now I'm just gonna be me and live my life. And
Right,
it's good
right,
being a
right,
creator, being
yeah.
able to do that, be able to step away. And this was a great way to handle how, like, I could see when Doug Walker does decide to end this in real life, that being the way he does it.
Totally. And then I do really like the kind of like the aftermath stuff. From the get-go, I had the idea that Doug would devote his time to the chronic fatigue syndrome charity, because charity has been kind of like a big part of what he does with the channel, because every Nostalgia Critic video does have a charity shout out now. And chronic fatigue syndrome has been a big part of his life ever since he got it back like 5 or so years ago. And so I really think it makes a lot of sense that he would pursue something like that. And I don't know, man. It's just, there's something just so, this is going to sound really corny, but it genuinely like made my heart happy to like give Doug like an ending that was that cathartic. And because, I mean, the thing with Doug Walker is that like, I don't necessarily, like, he's obviously not like a great filmmaker, but the dude has passion. The dude has effort. Unlike AVGN, like, all due respect to James. Oh, yes. I don't think James has the passion for AVGN that he used to, whereas I don't think Doug ever lost the passion. I think that Doug is still experimenting. He's still trying out new shows, new concepts, new formats for Nostalgia Critic episodes, and I still, and that's why I watch him still, is that I genuinely do appreciate the enthusiasm that he brings to his projects.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's so passionate. And like you said, AVGN, you watch him, it looks like he just clocked in, clocked out of his 9 to 5, and everyone else handles things. But Nostalgia Critic,
exactly.
He's all in still, everything he does.
I mean, at least, this is just me talking. Like, in my opinion, I feel as though that for over on Cinemassacre, in the case of AVGN, I'm sure as though, and I'd like to think, and I think I make my point when there are the people that work with James and all that, they're good people. He's got good people working with him and all that, and helping out on certain things, but maybe just like not at the same, like proper level, like what you're talking about, Tiki. Just that, but there's nothing against those that work with James. None of that. There's nothing really.
There's not the
bad, just,
chemistry there that he even has with like the Chicago crew, who obviously the Chicago crew hasn't been around since the beginning, but they've been around for a long time at this point, and there is clearly a rapport that Doug has with them.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Well, I think we can pretty much wrap it up. Y'all got any final thoughts on this?
Theme Park Priest just logged on, so I want to say hi. And also, if you're in the market for a new refrigerator that's been lightly used, it doesn't come with magnets, but it is negotiable. No, I think both teams did a great job on both rounds. I know it wasn't everyone's favorite project, so I'm glad we were able to do a more open one now, and the next round should not as open, but should also be another more open round. But even with the more narrow constraints, both teams really rose to the occasion and did something great. It was a really memorable round from both teams. The Little Golden Book, while we didn't have as much to say, was a perfect Little Golden Book. And this movie, I don't think you could ask for a better Nostalgia Critic finale, fan fiction, however you want to call it. I don't think you could have done either of these projects better than they turned out.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, because everything that, was talked about and what we read, and like how this like grand finale and all that is well executed, and I'm sure, like, with what was brought into Boldly Flee, well, when Doug especially thought that was going to be the end for Nostalgia Critic, nope, and I was going to say this earlier, because at that time Doug felt that Nostalgia Critic was holding him back, but when he discovered that, I made a mistake, I love doing Nostalgia Critic, and he came back, and whenever the time comes for him to end it, maybe, just maybe, and Lord knows if like he would ever discover what you've done, Tiki, I don't know, but if he comes up with something like what you came up with, then that'd be great. Obviously, Doug would want to come up with something to really go out on a high note, like with what he did for Boldly Flee, but make it better. So that's that's what's important, and I'm sure as though that Doug is going to do that. This whole concept and all that. Couldn't have said it better myself, like what Pi said and all that. Just really good.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me tonight. It's been fun. I've been really looking forward to dissecting this. Like I said, man, just as someone where I have been following Doug since I was like in high school, and I'm now like 35 going on 36. So that's more than half my life. That's more than half my life, which is kind of existentially terrifying, honestly. And just this whole thing where it's like, we used to joke like, oh, the Nostalgia Critic's kind of nostalgic, but no, going back and watching like that first year or so, seeing like the grainy film quality, it's all so homebrewed, and it feels like a different era. Like going back and watching those original reviews genuinely feels like going back in time now. It's like a time capsule of old YouTube. Oh, so yes. The Nostalgia Critic has indeed become nostalgic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's where we'll end off. See y'all later. Thank you, guys.
YouTube nostalgia, that is.
Indeed. All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye, Joker's Fridge.